He once stood at the pinnacle of his profession, an engineer whose name carried weight in a bustling city. Now he's just someone's father, an immigrant in a new land. This is the story of a man who built bridges, only to find himself trying to build one for his own soul. When Minh arrived in California at 62, it felt like a dream. He was a retired civil engineer from Saigon, a man who had spent 4 decades designing the very arteries of his city. Bridges, buildings, and roads that carried millions. In Vietnam, he was Engineer Minh, a man respected for his skill. Standing in front of his daughter's home in San Jose, with just 2 suitcases and a heart full of hope, he felt a mix of pride and anxiety. His daughter's words echoed in his mind. "Bah, here you don't have to worry about anything. Health insurance, safety, retirement, everything's better here." He smiled, but a quiet unease settled in. In Vietnam, he was somebody. Here, he was invisible. The first few months were a blur of sterile tranquility. He took morning walks on clean, silent streets, helped with his grandchildren, and cooked pho on weekends. But the silence of the American suburbs was deafening. In Saigon, the nights were alive with the sounds of a city, motorbikes, laughter, neighbors calling out. Here, the silence was a heavy blanket. The quiet was supposed to be a luxury, but to Minh, it felt like a cage. One day he asked his daughter, "Can I do something useful here? Maybe a small part-time job?" She looked at him, surprised. "Bah, you don't need to. You've worked all your life. Just relax." But for Minh, relaxing felt like slowly fading away. He needed a purpose. A lifeline came from an unexpected place. A Vietnamese neighbor, Han, who owned a small nail salon, mentioned she could use an extra hand. "Simple work," she said. "Cleaning, prepping nails, filing. We all help each other." Minh hesitated. His hands had drawn blueprints for massive structures. They had never held a nail file. But a deep-seated need for self-worth pushed him to say yes. He enrolled in the state-required course, struggling through English forms and memorizing chemical safety warnings. When his license finally arrived, he stared at it for a long time. It was his first American credential, not as an engineer, but as a nail technician. It felt like both a victory and a surrender. The salon was a world away from his old life. It smelled of acetone and lavender, filled with the chatter of women and the hum of dryers. The nail technicians moved with a quick, practiced grace. Minh, in contrast, was slow, methodical, his engineering instincts taking over. His precision was a relic of a different life. Clients called him Mr. M. Some found his quiet politeness charming. Others grew impatient with his pace. He worked 6 hours a day, earning just enough to cover small expenses, refusing to take money from his daughter. He wasn't there for the money. He was there to feel alive. One afternoon, the illusion shattered. A customer snapped at him, her voice sharp. "You filed it unevenly. Look, can't you see that?" Minh apologized softly and corrected his mistake, his face burning. The woman didn't even look up from her phone. In that moment, something inside him cracked. Back in Vietnam, people had waited weeks for a meeting with him. He had signed off on projects worth millions. Now he was being berated over a crooked fingernail. That night, he sat on his bed, his hands trembling. He looked at his palms, once the symbols of mastery and precision, now rough and smelling faintly of polish remover. He whispered to the empty room, "These hands once built bridges. Now they file nails." The words hung in the air, heavy with unspoken grief. He had come to America not to live a better life, but simply to live a longer one, safer, more comfortable, but stripped of the respect and dignity that had defined him. Yet, he didn't quit. He kept showing up, finding a quiet dignity in the repetition. He arrived early, swept the floors, and made tea for the younger workers. Precision, he realized, wasn't just for steel and concrete. It could be found in the delicate curve of a fingernail. But the shame still crept in sometimes, a bitter reminder of the man he used to be. Was this the American dream? To be safe, but empty. To earn, but mean nothing. One rainy night, as he mopped the floor after closing, the smell of wet tile and polish triggered a memory. He saw himself at the opening of his first bridge in Da Nang, the applause, the ribbon cutting, the immense pride as the structure he designed held firm. He had built something that would last, something that connected people, He leaned against the wall and whispered, "I built bridges for people to cross. Now I'm the one trying to cross." Winter came, and a persistent cough began to bother him, a side effect of the salon's chemical fumes. His daughter begged him to stop, but he refused. "It's not the work that hurts me," he told her. "It's the silence when I don't work." At night, he'd open Google Maps and trace the streets of his old Saigon neighborhood, a digital ghost of a life left behind. Then, one Sunday, a young customer noticed the careful, deliberate way he worked. "Uncle, you're so patient," she said. "You must have been a teacher or something before this." Minh smiled faintly. "I used to build bridges." The girl's eyes widened. "Really?" He nodded. "Now, I build small ones, between people." In her soft laugh, he felt a flicker of warmth. It wasn't pride, but something closer to peace. Maybe his purpose hadn't been lost. It had just changed its shape. Over time, he became the unofficial uncle of the salon. He fixed broken chairs, replaced light bulbs, and quietly mediated disputes. He was the silent pillar of their small community. He didn't need to talk about his past anymore. His hands, steady and patient, told the story for him, a story of precision, resilience, and quiet strength. One night, closing up, he looked at his reflection in the dark mirror. Grey hair, tired eyes, but steady hands. He whispered again, the words now carrying a different weight. "I didn't come here to live better. I came here to die slower. But at least in these small moments, I still feel alive." He stepped outside into the cool night air. Above the strip mall, the stars were faint, but they were there. In the steady hum of the freeway, in the rhythm of his new life, Minh found his new kind of bridge. Not one of steel, but of quiet endurance. The American dream hadn't given him a grander life. It had given him more time to think, to remember, and to accept. He no longer built bridges for others to cross. He was finally building one inside himself, connecting the man he was with, the man he had become. Thank you so much for watching and for sharing this journey with us. If this story resonated with you, please consider liking this video and subscribing for more content that explores the human spirit. We'll see you in the next one.